Pedro, thanks very much for joining us. Square Asset Management, obviously very active in the Portuguese market. A lot of interest in Iberia generally, but maybe highlight for us just what you're seeing at the moment in terms of the Portuguese market especially.
Well, generally speaking, Portugal and Iberia at all, but Portugal mostly, and was a very attractive market nowadays, and so it was very trendy in very different areas. There are a lot of mainly foreign investment, mainly in offices, that there are a lot of demand for companies to come over, and on residential as well. We pass over the crisis, and a part of cleaning up the balance sheet of the banks on the distressed assets on the residential. Now, for the first time over 10 years, we are assisting on a development in new residential projects, quite large, meaning some couple of hundreds of apartments in Lisbon. And I want to stress that Lisbon is still one of the few Western capitals, not only to say the only one, that has still some land to development. So meaning you don't have to demolish to build up new projects. And so, as I was saying, before COVID, Portugal was very trendy. This stopped a little bit, so foreign investors cannot come over because there is no flights. Now we are coming back, and so some investment files were postponed for September. But as far as we know from our calls and from the calls from the consultants, the interest is still there because the yields are still high. What also we have assessed is that the price per square meter is still far below the other capitals in Europe. So I think, and the fundamentals are still here. So, interest rates low is very good for investment, very attractiveness. And some foreign companies coming over, residential also, foreigners are come over to live in Portugal. And so I think the fundamentals are still here for people to come back. And what we have from the calls is that when flights come over, people are arriving back for investment.
And in terms, we mentioned their residential, looking at the other sectors, how do you see those performing, I suppose, both short term, given the current health crisis, and also sort of more longer term, really?
Well, I would say that all across the world, logistics is a sector that is the winning sector nowadays, due to e-commerce and other things. So logistics is it's quite funny because during decades, logistics was the non-sexy sector, and now it's become like a very attractive sector. Offices, the rents for the first time again in 10 years were growing, and so they are still a little bit below what they were on before the previous crisis, and so that's why it's attractive to invest, because even with yields at this level, still the price per square meter is not that expensive. And of course, there is an expectation at the end, companies don't need so much square meters in offices, or on the other hand, because people has to be more far away from each other, at the end, the square meters that each company occupies, it is going to be the same. Meaning, even if someone has still like 25 or 30% of people working from home, but as the other ones cannot be so close each other, the full space will be the same. So, and I think that is going to happen. So my view is that still there is a demand. And again, also in offices, there were, for the first time in 10 years, some speculative projects on construction for offices in Lisbon. Retail, of course, it's still a little bit in Iberia. People want more to go to the shoppings, and so it's not really the same as it happens in UK and in US. Also because usually shopping centers usually are with an anchor of a supermarket, and so the food to buy and the food to eat is quite substantial to attractive people. But still, I know most of the money is not in Iberia, is outside, and so investors are a little bit afraid to invest on that. Although over the last couple of years, there was a lot of trades in shopping centers. So I would say there is a little bit a question mark. Although, for example, all the food retailers are expanding their brands. So there is a kind of competition because Mercadona, that is a Spanish, the main Spanish company, is expanding to Portugal, and all of the others are trying to put positions to block their expansion. So it's quite, I would say, funny and interesting to assist on that. Finally, I would say that the sector that pushed more for Portugal to come out of the crisis, that was tourism, and so you have hotels, high street retail, short-term rentals, apartments, etc. That has stopped now with the lockdown, and so we are assisting of some movements from the owners to move some short-term living to long-term living, and so we are assisting on the internet on a little bit fall down on the prices to rent on the PRS sector, let's say, just because you have a more offer on the market. But of course, this is a little bit unstable market in the sense that people are more at home, and so you don't have tourists. So the question mark is, in 3 months' time, when things get back to the new normal, if due to the recovery of the demand, this is going to be a trend, or if it was just a short-term trend.
Great. Thanks very much, Pedro. Always good to catch up with you, and thanks for sharing your views on the market.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.